Hello, this is Daniel Mart, and today I'm going to be doing another review. This time around, I'm going to be doing a review for The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. So yeah, this movie is actually out on YouTube, which is funny because it's a movie from this year, July 9th, 2015. It's a documentary, so I guess. And this movie stars it's a documentary, by the way, and it stars Nicolas Cage, Tim Burton, Kevin Smith, Dan Gilroy, John Peters, John Schnepp, which actually John Schnepp is a YouTuber. He's on Collider movie reviews, if I'm not mistaken, as well as Colin Atwood, Wesley Strike, Lorenzo Di Bonaventura, Rick Heinrichs, Derek Frey, Robert Myers Burnett, Grant Morrison, Steve Johnson, Michael Anthony Jackson, and I believe, is that it? Sylvester Desperate, Bill Boses, Amanda Ray Tracy, Peter Von Shawley, James Carson, Ronald G. Smith, Matthew Hiscox, Brom, William Bryan, Kerry Gamil, Derek Thompson, and Liam Sharp. So yeah, before I begin though, 10 second spoiler warning as usual for those who have yet to actually watch the movie and haven't already. Stop the video, go check it out, and then come back and watch the rest of this review. There's going to be a link down below for those who want to check out the movie because it is online already on YouTube, so do check it out. Link down below for those who want to check it out. And yeah, before I begin though, 10 second spoiler warning as usual, starting now. Okay, so 10 seconds are up. So for those who have yet to actually watch this movie and haven't already, first off, you have no excuse if the link to the movie is right down below. Okay, so yeah, no excuse. But for those who haven't watched the movie yet and are still watching this, please don't comment down below or message me that I never gave you a fair warning because as usual, I did. So yeah, I did. So basically, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. As usual, quick synopsis, likes and dislikes, and then the rate. So basically, this is a documentary that shows what could have been the movie Superman Lives, and why wasn't it made. Now, this movie is the movie that was originally going to star Nicolas Cage as Superman, and it was going to be directed by Tim Burton and written by Kevin Smith. And Dan Gilroy and John Peters were going to be involved, and a bunch of other people. These other people. So yeah, what could have Superman Lives be? And basically, it's a bunch of designs, I guess you could say. And they show us a bunch of concept art, concept ideas, possible scripts for this movie. They basically explain why what this movie could have been and why it didn't happen. And basically, this movie was going to be released during the early to mid, or somewhere in the 90s. First off, they say maybe early 90s, then they go off to say mid 90s, maybe late 90s, maybe early 2000s, and then it was cut. So yeah, and ironically, they say this at the end of the film, that the reason this was gonna have a budget of $300 million dollars, but this was cut, it was canceled at the last minute, and the whole budget, part of the budget, went to the Wild Wild West with Will Smith, and that was a box office flop. And that's half the reason why that's partially as to why Superman Lives was never made, because I believe it was Warner Brothers. Yeah, because Warner Brothers were making a bunch of these big action movies or big summer blockbuster movies that were just failing, and they thought Superman Lives could have been a catastrophe. So now we have this, and again, it's a documentary. You have Joe Schnepp, a YouTuber, or John Schnepp, sorry, a YouTuber. He's interviewing all these people. Tim Burton, Kevin Smith, Dan Gilroy, Peters, Colleen Atwood, a bunch of these people. Nicolas Cage, we see him in archived footage, so there's that. And he's basically interviewing and asking them, asking them to explain their experience with this movie. And many people, such as Tim Burton and Kevin Smith, liked it. You know, they're trying. It wasn't like their magnum opus, but it was like they were trying to have this movie being made. It's one of those things that, you know, if you see the concept, you know, after seeing all the concept images and everything. And that's basically what I wanted to say, that it's just a bunch of concept and stuff, and that's what basically it is. The Now let me just get into the interviews. Um, they're pretty good. Let's see, you have doctors, I believe was his name, and many people kind of see him, make him kind of be like the enemy or whatever. And basically what they say is like, he said, like, they make him seem like he's putting up all these rules and whatever, and he does put up these rules. Like, he says Superman has to fight a giant spider, that he can't wear his iconic suit, and he can't fly, and it's really fucking stupid. But, you know, just hearing the ideas that just looking at the ideas and hearing the ideas, it would have made for a really interesting movie. And then you have Tim Burton directing it, Kevin Smith as a writer, Nicolas Cage as the lead actor. So yeah, I mean, overall, this would have been a really weird movie. Now, could it have been good is a major question. Could Superman Lives have been good? And they do toy with the idea. Like, at the beginning, they're at, I guess, at San Diego Comic Con, from what it seems, or Wizard Con or something like that. They're at this convention, basically, to say the least. And they're asking all these people, you know, what are your thoughts on this, on Nicolas Cage being Superman back in the 90s, you know, the Superman Lives. Some people were for it, some people are against it, but everybody does agree that it would have been interesting, and they want everybody agrees that it would have been interesting to see how it would have turned out. And I think that's the biggest compliment, I guess, you could give this movie, because they're really, I mean, you have some of the behind the scenes photos, you know, you do have a couple photos released from there, you do have a couple videos released from there, but given all that, because most of the videos, and we do also see some of the videos here, are most of them are just like Nicolas Cage trying out the outfits, the different outfits, him kind of discussing how he should probably do some of the scenes, but for the most part, it's just costume fittings, from what it seems. And the pictures for the most, are of Nicolas Cage in the costume, and these different costumes. And yeah, now the major complaint, I guess you could say, against this movie is that despite all the concepts that they give you, you really don't know what this movie would have been. Like, you have a basic idea that they would have done the death of Superman, and then and then the rebirth of Superman, the black suit and whatever, and the regeneration suit or whatever, the energy suits. I mean, you have some basic ideas, but you never know, like, you don't really know a full plot. And I guess that makes sense, because I mean, and to a certain degree, it does make sense, because they never actually filmed much of anything. I mean, the only things they ever filmed were the costume fittings, and that's it. Because they were canceled about 2 or 3 weeks right before shooting was scheduled, and then most of the budget went to the Wild Wild West with Will Smith. So you really, I mean, I assume that at that time they knew more or less what the plot was going to be, yet they never really divulged much of it in this documentary. I mean, we have some random ideas. There may have been a giant spider that would have gone against Superman, and that giant spider may have been able to literally, like, give birth to like millions of other spiders. It seems like those spiders would have overtaken Superman. So there's one idea. We have Lois Lane was going to be portrayed by, I forget who. I remember the paper boy. I forget his name. Chris Rock was gonna. That would have been. And that also would have been an interesting choice. Chris Rock portraying Olsen, Jim Olsen, or Jim Olsen. That would have been weird. First black guy to portray Jim Olsen. And the reason I say that is because there's already a black, because in the Supergirl TV show that's coming up in October, if I'm not mistaken, there's McCod, I forget his name, his full name, but McCod is portraying Jimmy Olsen. So yeah, I mean, so you do, and then when it comes to the villains, we knew Doomsday was gonna be there. If you're gonna do Death of Superman, you obviously need Doomsday. They're gonna have Lex Luthor. I mean, I guess pretty standard. And it seems like they would have Metallo and Brainiac there as well. That would have been interesting. Metallo and Brainiac. I don't think we've ever had Metallo and Brainiac in a live action movie. We've had Zod. We've had Zod and Lex Luthor several times. Aside from that, I can't really think. I mean, yeah, who are the? I mean, you had that one guy. I can't. Yeah, you had that one guy who like the not Booster Gold, but like in the fourth Superman movie. It's not really Booster. For some reason, I'm thinking Booster Gold. I know it's not Booster Gold. But whatever. But aside from that, you have like basic ideas, basic plot points, but you never know what it's gonna be. Like the most likely thing that seems like it was gonna happen is that they wanted the Spider thing to be in the third act, and logically, if that was gonna happen, either A, Doomsday was gonna be in the first or second act, or somehow would have been mixed in with third act. But you really have like no actual structure. You really don't know anything. So I mean, overall, I thought it was a pretty good documentary. Again, it is here on YouTube. I'll leave a link down below for those who want to check it out. It was actually a surprisingly good documentary, and the reason I didn't really know what to expect from this documentary, aside from the fact to learn as to why Superman Lives never actually happened. It is a pretty interesting documentary. If you guys like Superman, if you guys like documentaries, definitely do check it out. I definitely do recommend it. If you like the filmmaking aspect and how it kind of works, I do recommend it. If you like Superman, I do recommend it. If you like DC in general, I recommend it. If you like comic book films, because in a sense this is a comic book film. It's a documentary on comic book films, so I would recommend it on that stand as well. If you like Nicolas Cage, all this type of stuff. If I highly recommend it. Okay, now on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and 6 being decent, I'm gonna give this one 7.5 out of 10. It's a pretty good film. I just kind of wish it would have explained more on the possible plot for the movie, because I mean I understand like within like when they were, because again they're explaining the whole process of the movie and how it's being made, and I do understand that towards the beginning they really didn't know anything of plot wise, but towards the end I kind of wish they would have given us like a possible plot, like for example like something you'd read in the back of a DVD case or whatever, or IMDb. Superman, like Superman comes back again to fight a giant spider, later to be killed off by Doomsday and come back again or whatever. So yeah, I mean something like that. I don't know. I mean there were some pretty weird ideas, like Superman needing guards, and they ended up being like 2 polar bears. That was fucking weird. It sounds funny, but it's fucking weird. I mean, like why would Superman need guards to begin with? He's fucking Superman, for God's sakes. One thing that I do think is very interesting, that they said that during the funeral scene, like when Superman's funeral, it was inspired by Princess Diana's funeral. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But they're gonna have a cameo by Batman. He was gonna invade the screens, I guess, like the screens of Metropolis. Like how New York, like Times Square, has all those giant screens. He probably basically they say that Batman was gonna like invade, he's gonna hack into or whatever the system and get onto those screens and either post a video or something of him talking. And the one thing I want to know is like exactly who would have portrayed Batman in that instance, because up until now you have like 5 or 6 different people who've portrayed Batman. You have you have Michael Keaton. At that point you had Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, and Adam West. So I doubt Adam West would have done it, but so yeah. And if you want, and logically, I guess it would have been George Clooney, because he was the latest Batman at that time. However, Michael Keaton is the most well liked Batman. So I'm just interested in who would have portrayed Batman in that instance. That would have been interesting. I do want to know about that. Who would have portrayed Batman? That's one answer I kind of wish. Like, aside from the plot, I'm actually really interested as to who would have portrayed Batman. Or would they have gotten some random guy? Or would have been all like a silhouette, so we don't see his face, like, but we see the shape. So, I mean, that could have worked. Just to get a good actor, though. So, yeah, that's basically it for now. Again, 7.5 out of 10 is what I'd give this movie. And, yeah, that's basically it for now. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, and comic book reviews. Comment down below your thoughts on the movie. Have you seen it? And if not, why not? And if you have, what are your thoughts on it? And again, link down below. And what are your thoughts on Superman Lives? Do you think it would have been a good idea or a bad idea? I think it would have been an interesting idea. From off this movie, I want to say it sounds like it sounds like it would have been a decent guilty pleasure film. That's how I'm going to put it. A decent guilty pleasure film. So yeah, kind of like Batman Forever, like that type of movie. Like it's kind of funny. It has its enjoyment. It's really bad, but it has its enjoyable parts, and it's kind of funny. But it's not Batman and Robin terrible funny. So yeah, that's basically it for this review. Again, subscribe, comment down below, like the videos, share on Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, or whatever you guys prefer. And that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.